Okay, good morning, Hare Krishna to everyone. Yeah, this session is going to begin. Is it okay? Yeah. Yeah, myself, Balram Sahu from IISc Bangalore. This session, today's second session, is overview on foundations of science. And we have our first talk, that is a comparison of axiom-based spaces and hypothesis-based mathematical modeling. And that will be given by Professor Sandeep Kumar from IIT BHU, Varanasi. Before we start this talk, I will briefly tell about Professor Sandeep Kumar from IIT Varanasi. Dr. Sandeep Kumar is a professor at the Department of Mechanical Engineering, BHU, Varanasi, and he graduated from MNREC, Allahabad, and completed post-graduation from BHU, Varanasi. His field of interest is computational mechanics. After completing PhD from IIT Delhi in the field of composite plates and cells, he has worked in various fields of research, such as meshless methods, chaos theory, and wavelets, etc. Before joining IIT BHU, he worked in the REC Kurukshetra, BITS Pilani, and AIMST, Malaysia. He has completed several research projects for DST and BIRC. He has numerous publications in international journals of repute. He has authored a popular book, Mathematical Theory of Subdivisions, Finite Elements and Wavelet Methods, which is published by CRC Press. With this brief introduction, I invite Professor Sandeep Kumar to begin his talk. Thank you, Professor Sandeep Kumar. You have 45 minutes in total, and there will be 10 minutes of question and answer session. And with this 45 minutes, I will remind you once after 40 minutes. So then you can continue and sum up whatever your topic is. And then we'll have some question and answer from the audience. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Professor Sahu, giving me this opportunity. I wanted to come to Puri and attend this workshop, but because of my personal reasons, I could not attend this. So, I'll share my screen in just a minute. I hope you can see this screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can
speak on basically exam-based spaces and compare with this hypothesis-based mathematical modeling. We do mathematical modeling most of the time. For example, this is what we have done in our PhD. Okay, so we solve. This is a very common problem for problem. In this plate and shell problem, deflection is very small, and then we develop mathematical model, mathematical equations, and then we try to solve these equations. So while solving, because you have to develop one and you just run it, and you can go to very large deflection. So in the left side figure here, I've shown a very large deflection. It's a post-buckling. It's called post-buckling. And And in the dynamic response also, it's so by doing this mathematical modeling, when we do detection of all the regions, we for large deflections. Now, it's completely incorrect. Correct. So people work. And the problem is that in case there is some problem of convergence, we don't discuss it. For example, in my case, one point is both buckling region.
Sir, sorry,
find
sir.
that the results are not converging. Yeah.
So sorry to disturb you.
Yeah.
Your voice is breaking.
Yeah.
If we can check the net connectivity, it will be nice.
Okay, I'm just trying to make another.
Sir, are you there?
I'm with another.
Yeah, still it is breaking.
Server. Earlier, I was using. The other server is also not connecting.
Sir, is it possible to disconnect and connect again? We will try that.
Okay, I'm just trying that. Okay, I have connected with another server. Can you hear me? Is it better?
Somewhat okay.
Okay, I have connected with another server. This is Airtel. So I'll continue with this then. Okay, so this is a problem when you make this kind of modeling. Initially, you have to make some assumptions, and later you find that you are yourself violating these assumptions. Okay, just to show some beautiful results. This is common, in physics and every field. And this is a particularly big problem if you are solving a nonlinear. If you are solving a nonlinear equations. The linear equations, it's okay. For nonlinear equations, this is a bigger problem. And most of the things are nonlinear in nature. So, if you can validate your results with the help of some experiment, then it is good. If you cannot validate your results with the help of experiments, then I think it is a useless thing, because first thing is that you do not have any proof. Of course, what people do, they compare their results with some other mathematical modeling. That is not very good technique. Like, for example, I compared my results with some standard results. Okay, their results will match, our results will match, but that is not a good way to prove the validity of the results. So Big Bang is also like that. Initially we make some assumptions and then we extrapolate it. Okay. Now here, just showing you my concept or my understanding on mathematical modeling and laws and how they are related. This model I often show. So if you see this model, I have shown that in the bottom mathematical model. Now mathematical model is basically for getting the perfect logic. Okay, the mathematical model gives perfect logic. Then if you want to get some laws, using mathematical model, like thermodynamics laws, Newton's laws, you cannot get using mathematical model. Okay, and if you have laws, if you want to prove some matter, for example, there exists something like a gold or iron, you cannot prove that using scientific laws. And if you have a matter, you cannot prove using that there exists some living being. Okay. And if you have living being, you cannot prove that there exists some God. Means it is not possible to go upward. It is possible to go downward. Means if you have some scientific laws, you can prove the mathematical equations. That will show it later also. Now, to explain it further, let us take this equation, a very simple equation. This is heat conduction equation. Now, if you see this equation, say U2 equal to Uxx, means double derivative with x and derivative in terms of time. Now, this is U is the temperature in rod at some position x time t. Now, this Ut is equal to Uxx is mathematical equation. It is giving some law. Logic. It is giving some logic flow. This equation will be valid in many cases. Now, if you want to add some physics, okay, then you have to tell that U is temperature and C is, say, C can be expressed in terms of some properties. This is another physics of that rod, thermal conductivity, specific heat, density, etc. So in the logic, you are putting some physics laws, and if you want further, then you can say that this is an iron rod, is a matter. So this equation or this phenomena you can understand in 3 steps instead of just one equation. One is the mathematics, which gives the pure logic. Another is physics or the laws. Another is, you can say, physics and chemistry or matter. So instead of seeing Ut is equal to C square Uxx as a single, I am just splitting this concept in 3 parts. So I will focus mainly on mathematics, not in physics or other higher dimension. Okay. So now without mathematics, you cannot understand the things properly. Mathematics logic is very important. You see, in quantum mechanics, everybody is observing the phenomena, but they are giving different theories. Why? Because some proper mathematics is missing. Bohr, Heisenberg gives one concept, Wheeler gives another, Bohm another. Similarly, Einstein, Schrodinger, de Broglie, they give other concepts. So the same phenomena, but people they are great scientists and they are giving the different concept, the reasons, logic. Why? Because they are not having the proper mathematics at present on quantum mechanics. So mathematics is essential, without that you cannot. So again, I have shown the same thing here. I am putting the mathematical models, this logic, the bottom, scientific laws, matter, and the highest level, the living being, and above that, this absolute truth, Brahman. Why I'm saying mathematics? Mathematics is gives only logic, perfect logic. This is like a projection. I'm saying that like matter is you can compare with 3 dimension, then scientific laws 2 dimension. You are reducing dimension, and mathematical model another lower dimension. So mathematical model, what I say is that at the lowest model, but it is the easiest and it gives the perfect logic. The other scientific laws and matter are at the higher dimension because you are adding dimensions. So anything, if you want to understand, you have to use mathematical models, and mathematical model gives the perfect logic. Now, this, because everything in this universe is perfectly logical. Everything is logical in the universe. And the mathematics eliminate absurd concepts. So if you want to remove anything which is not proper, you have to use mathematics. There's no doubt about it. Now, what in generally mathematics we do, we generally use the proper axioms, form a space, develop proper logic, perform sensible experiment. This is the process. Of course, mathematics starts in the real visible world. You see and then you form the mathematics. Then we use axiom for higher dimension, because higher dimension you cannot make any equipment and measure the things or observe the things. So if you want to understand the higher dimension, you have to use mathematical spaces. For example, if you want to use Brahman, Brahman is at the higher space. Absolute truth is at the higher space. There you cannot perform any experiment and prove the things. So in mathematics, we use axioms and form a space. And then similarly here also, you have to use, for higher space, you have to use axioms. Now, when you create a proper space, then only you can get proper logic and get continuity of logic. Otherwise, everybody knows that if the logic is not continuous, then it means that something is wrong. Everybody can understand that there's something is wrong. So continuity of logic is very important. And that is continuity you can get only in a proper space. Now, let us take a very simple example. We all know that 1 plus 1 equal to 2, and also we know that 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. If you take Z2 field, it is 1 plus 1 is 0, and if you take real number, integer number, 1 plus 1 equal to 2. So in two different fields, you have two different results. So concept of field and concept of space is very important. You have to select proper axioms, proper field, proper space, and then only you can create proper logic. Okay. Now let us take example of this standard spaces: Hilbert space, Banach space, topological space. Now here, these are all based on some axioms. We'll discuss these few spaces. And in these spaces, we try to develop theorems. And these theorems we apply in practical problems. In fact, these theorems, without these theorems, you cannot understand some of the very important engineering problems also. Not only that very high dimension space problem, but some engineering problems also you cannot understand. Otherwise, you will make some mistakes in solution or methodology. So, for example, most of the time we get the classical solution, but there's sometimes we try to get the solution in Hilbert space and Sobolev space also. And another interesting thing is we form or we can get energy principle in Sobolev space also. So this is another very interesting thing, you know, energy principle is a physical concept. But then if you understand this Sobolev space, you will find that this is energy principle is just a simple case. So here, what we are trying to do or we will do to generalize this concept of space, not only mathematical sets, but also in spirituality also. Now, let us take a very simple case of generalization. Okay, how we form the numbers. Say one banana, one flower, one bird, you say you represent it using some symbol. Similarly, two banana, two flowers, two birds, we represent symbol two. So this way we are generalizing it and we are creating a symbolic language. And this we call mathematics, which is used for quantifying ability of the human mind. Then we further extended this from positive number, we extended to negative number, decimal. Then we also developed the operators, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then square and square root. And then we found the square root of negative number also. Now, square root of negative number, you cannot demonstrate by any experiment. Other things, of course, you can demonstrate it, you can prove it. But by simple experiment, you cannot demonstrate. But it is logically correct. So we accept it. And then now we find it a lot of applications. So logic is very important. Now, let us come to higher dimension. This is a lower dimension, higher dimension. When you want the concept of length, okay, we develop the concept of norm. Okay, so this norm concept is based on some axioms. Okay, these are the axioms. Now, say if you want to measure length in 4 dimension or higher dimension, more than 3 dimension, then you cannot make any instrument to measure the length in 4 dimension or higher dimension. No, instrument will not work. You have to develop this concept using axioms. So using axioms, you develop this concept of length called norm. And these are simple axioms, you know. Those who know, they can understand it easily. Otherwise, those who do not know, they have to spend some more time, because here we do not have enough time to explain you. So higher dimension length concept called norm is developed using axioms. Similarly, the concept of angle is called inner product, is also based on axioms. Now you further add some concept of like convergence, etc. Then you develop the concept of Banach space and Hilbert space. This Hilbert space is higher dimension of Euclidean space. Okay, so Euclidean 3-dimensional space, we are very much familiar. We all work in this space, but those who go for higher studies in physics or mathematics, they only study the Hilbert spaces. Now, similarly, another mathematics developed is called, topology. This is called topology. Now, this topology is basically science of properties of spaces and figures. Okay, now you know the spaces and figures, say geometrical figures. So they wanted something in form like invariant. Okay, they were thinking in that direction, so that they should remain unchanged under continuous deformation. So With this concept, they developed slowly over a period, very long period, the concept of topology. This is another very challenging and interesting mathematics topology. So again, these are based on some axioms, and this topology gives the concept of neighborhood. Okay. And the interior point and exterior points, this gives the concept of interior point, exterior points. Of course, in this, we have the concept of metric spaces also, another way of measuring distance. Sorry. So, you see, although those who are not familiar with this kind of things will be thinking, what is the use of these things? Of course, when the mathematicians were developing this concept of topology, they were not thinking the application of this mathematics. They were just finding the perfect logic, the axioms, the space, they are creating the space, and they develop the theorems, things like that, in their way. Just for fun, you can say. Topology, most of the people initially, they were doing mathematics just for fun, without thinking much about its application. But now you will find it's very wide application. So one of the application which I use or I teach is computer-aided design. As I'm a mechanical engineer and I teach this computer-aided design subjects. So there we use the solid modeling. So in computer, we say that the model is solid. Now, how will you prove that the model is solid? Solid, you can touch it and you can say that this is solid. But when you are making some model in computer, then how will you say that this is a solid? You cannot go and touch it. So the mathematical concept is developed. How to say that? Because in computer, everything is pixel. It's nothing but pixels. Okay, it's a set of points or pixels. So how will you say that this set of pixels is solid and this set of pixels is surface or line? So this is not easy, because anyway, this is nothing but a set of pixels. So there you see the topology is very useful. Topology, they use the concept of interior point, they use the concept of boundary points, and the interior points and boundary points all are defined in terms of neighborhood, which earlier I showed. And then they develop the commands so that it should not violate the topology of the model. So these are some of the commands which we use in computer design. Now, another application of topology is knot theory. Now, this is very useful in analyzing DNA structure. When the people were studying topology, that time they never thought that it will be useful in understanding DNA. But now this knot theory concept is used in DNA. So what is important is that these concepts, axiom-based concepts are developed, perfect logic is developed, and then you find its vast applications, recent fields, otherwise you cannot understand. Now, this is one way of developing mathematics using axioms and space. Now, let us see the another interesting thing in electromagnetic theory. So, electricity is, of course, one of the greatest achievement for human being. Now, if you see the history, it started from Benjamin Franklin, who discovered electricity in 1752 with the help of kite experiment. Then 1780, Coulomb's law. Then Gauss generalized Coulomb's law. Then initially, people thought that electricity and magnetism were not related. Then Christian Ørsted proved accidentally that they are related. Then Ampere proved, gave the Ampere's law. And Michael Faraday in 1831 gave the electromagnetic induction. Now, up to this stage, they were finding something, they were discovering something, but they were confused, how this electricity and magnetism were related. So in 1852, between 1850 and 1870, Maxwell gave some equations called Maxwell's equations, and he established the relation between electricity and magnetism. Now, initially people did not accept Maxwell's equation easily. Sorry. These are the four Maxwell's equations which relate the electricity and magnetism. Helmholtz was another great mathematician at that time, and he gave his equations on field, how vector field can be expressed. And Heinrich was the student of Helmholtz, so he encouraged him to do some kind of experiment on Maxwell's equation, and later Heinrich Hertz performed experiment. He discovered radio waves, and then it proved the Maxwell's equations. People started believing this. Now, these Maxwell equations basically are based on the first experimental evidence, and then they found the mathematical logic, and then they developed another proof of experiment, radio waves. Sorry. Now, after Helmholtz, it is something like in 1920 or 1940. I just forget to add this slide. 1940, researchers could extend the Helmholtz equation. The Helmholtz gave the equation for static field. Then some researchers extended this in dynamic field, and then they proved the Maxwell equation using Helmholtz theorem. So you see here, the Helmholtz equation is purely a mathematical equation. Okay, and in fact, he encouraged his friend Hertz to work on Maxwell equation. He was not knowing, and then his equations in the dynamic form, it was extended later by researcher for dynamic field, and then that dynamic field is used to prove the Maxwell's equation. So you see, the purely mathematical concept, Helmholtz equation, purely mathematical concept, then dynamic field, another purely mathematical concept, is now used to prove the Maxwell equation, which is like an axiom-based approach. This is also called, some mathematicians call it axiom-based approach. Of course, using that mathematics, you cannot understand electricity and magnetism. This is one issue. You can understand that this is logically correct. This can happen something. Something will happen like this. But you cannot get the feeling of electricity and magnetism. You can only prove that this is logically correct. So this is the power of mathematics. Okay, using mathematics, you can prove anything which is logical. And everything is logical, so everything is mathematical. Now here, I'm trying to generalize the concept of consciousness. Okay, just like, concept of topology or vector spaces, norm or inner product. I'm trying to generalize it. Now I'm just showing you two boxes which are isolated. Nothing can go outside from inside the box, and nothing can come inside from outside or surrounding. So within this box, there's you can say battery, etc. The bulb, and then some seed, we put some seed on the soil and then put water, and then you see that nice tree will grow. Now, if you don't put seed and so give everything, then nothing will grow. So it means that to get something, you need some consciousness, which is there in this seed. Okay, this is a basic observation. So without seed, you cannot get the tree, So you see here in both the cases, in the second case, right hand side, you see the entropy is increasing, or disorderness is increasing here also. But here in the left side, we see that there is some orderness is also developing, nice plant and flowers, etc. So this means that if you want to reduce the entropy in any system, you need some higher consciousness. Otherwise, a lower consciousness or no consciousness will only increase the disorderness or entropy. This we can observe. Now you can further observe this any home also. A lot of children are there, if they will create the disorderness, and when the mother comes, she arranges everything. And Bhagavad Gita also says the same thing. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam siramyam. So basically, when the disorderness increases, the higher consciousness comes and increases the orderness. Now this phenomena, you can see that this is like a universal phenomena. Now, if there is a higher consciousness, the orderness will increase and disorderness will decrease. And if there is only the lower consciousness, then they will reduce the disorderness by eliminating each other. Our nature reduces entropy due to tamasic mode by creating elimination process among themselves. They fight and they kill each other. Disorder, like animals and the tamasic peoples. So here I am trying to show the Brahman with the help of second tensor. Of course, you know that the second rank tensor, but tensor is basically a kind of invariant. So Brahman is also invariant, and Brahman is basically projected. Brahman, higher dimension Brahman, in the beginning I showed it, is projecting on the lower dimensional space. That space of living being or matter or the laws or the mathematics. So mathematics is the lowest dimension. So Brahman, which is invariant, we can express like a high rank tensor, and I don't know the order of the tensor and all, but we can express it like this. Now this Brahman, is doing all Leela or playing game or enjoying the playful game. They're doing a playful game, trading. So in that, everybody's trying to enjoy as much as possible. So in that, what we express, that consciousness divide itself in three operators: Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. And then this Man, Buddhi, Ahankar provides all kind of dynamics, and we are all involved in that dynamics. The consciousness just for fun, just for enjoyment, finding the enjoyment in a particular way, in a personal way, or it performs various kind of dynamics. So I am just expressing this Man, Buddhi, Ahankar dynamics using this spring, mass and damper system. And if you see our dharma, it's also, I try to express using axioms. So here I'm showing that everything is eternal. Everything is eternal, but changes its form due to dynamics. And second is axiom, there is a consciousness or chetna in all living beings due to living forces called or known as Brahman Atma. Every chetna has some specific desire of faculty, like we have particular type of ear, nose, etc. And that and next likewise desired faculty and capability of dharma is not violated. It's only human being only violates dharma. Only human consciousness has freedom to violate the dharma. We only sometimes violate the dharma. Dharma and adharma performed by a person will be right in many future lives, which would be attained by this. Level of consciousness increases by following the dharma. Okay, peace and happiness increases with enhancement in the level of consciousness. So these are some of the axioms which all religion developed in India, which we call dharmic religions, like whether you take Buddhist or Jains or Sikh or Sanatani, which we call sometimes Vaishnava or Shaivism, they will accept these concepts. They all accept it. So I call them as axioms. And all religions, which are whether you take Buddhism as a religion or Jain as a religion or Sanatan, they have different ways of worshipping God, but they accept these axioms and they worship God in their way. That's okay. And the dharma says that you have to raise your level of consciousness. So if you see this, our dharma, they all emphasize on one thing, that there is a consciousness which we have demonstrated using the simple experiment with using the mathematical concepts. And then the lila is to how to raise the consciousness. Okay, how to raise the consciousness. So this, you can easily observe that if you perform, if you raise the level of consciousness, you will enjoy more. Okay. And Bhagavad Gita says that Yagyadan Tapakarma Tyajyam Karmev
Professor Kumar,
Yagyodanam Tapasya. Yeah, this is just last slide. So Yagyodanam Tapasya Pavnani Manishanam. Okay. So this way one can raise the level of consciousness and understand the things in a better way. So this is all I wanted to show you. That first thing is that everything is logical. Everything you can express in mathematical form. Okay. And this is, you can form mathematics using the spaces, higher dimensional spaces. This is in the higher dimensional space. Brahman is a higher dimensional space. Here you can see. This is at the highest dimensional space. Living beings below that. So into a dimension, it's okay. You can perform the experiment and you can do many things. But for higher dimension, you have to use only axioms. Okay, and this is what I want to show you. And if you want to understand, say, God, and simple by using some experiment or some physics without using the proper axiom, then it is not possible. That's all.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All from,
this interesting talk. You have a lot of concepts which are new, and I guess there should be a lot of questions. So now the session is open for questions and answers. So you can raise your hand.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is regarding like consciousness, that you told higher living means higher consciousness beings means increases the orderness and decreases disorderness. But
Yeah.
the highest means the controller of all means the Supreme Lord is at the highest level of consciousness. So
Yeah.
but like we see so many kind of natural calamities happening, like flood in Assam happened recently, and likewise earthquakes and all like natural calamities happen. So in that way, so much disorderness increases all of a sudden. Then how it is told that means higher consciousness decreases disorderness? Yes, sir.
No,
Thank you.
these are very temporary phenomena for a very short period of time, you can say, one thing. And another thing is that those who are at the higher level of consciousness, they actually go to the better place. They always get the better place. In the life also, you can see that the people who are whose consciousness is higher, you may get some kind of setback, sometime, but that is a temporary, and that is just a learning process. See, the whole thing is, you have to understand that it is a leela. We say that this is a leela, it's a game. So like you are playing a chess, and sometimes you lose and sometimes you win. So if you lose, you don't become too much disappointed, it's something like this. So if you see something wrong, it's like you are in the process of learning, that from the wrong thing, you are only in the process of learning. So you need not to be very much disturbed just because of some small incidents. What we have to do, or we have to think, how to raise our level of consciousness. This is a game. So anybody who is able to raise the level of consciousness will be more happy. Okay.
Thank you. Is there any?
So those who are in the high level consciousness, Bhagavad Gita also says that you should not be worried. Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, that this person will be killed or that person will be killed. There was no time when you were not there. There was no time when I was not there, and there will be no time when you will not be there, or I will not be there. So we are all living and existing in this universe since time immemorial. So you don't have to be too much worried because of that. So this is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us, and this is just a leela. Leela is a performing. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you gain. That's all. So these setbacks are only like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. But my question is, like I want to speak, which form of living is the best? Logical, analytical, and mathematical life, or simple, honest, and ethical life? Which form of life is righteous in nature? Please answer.
No, see, logical life is essential. Everything is logical. First thing is that, and spiritual life is also very logical. See, sometimes we are not able to understand logic properly. So, see, you have to understand that I said the logic depends on the spaces. So in a human being also, you find that a lot of variation in spaces. Some people are in tamasic mode, rajasic mode, and sattvic mode. They all are logical in their space. First thing is that everybody is logical in his space. The only thing is that we have to raise the level of our space. We have to move towards higher consciousness. Okay, everything is mathematical, everything is logical. Spirituality says that you raise the level of consciousness, or you move towards higher space. Okay, so if somebody is spiritual, it does not mean that he is violating any logical things, or he is not logical. It's not like that. Everything is logical in this universe. The difference is only in the level of space. So we have to move towards higher space, higher level of consciousness. So spirituality, religion and all, they teaches us only to move towards higher level of consciousness or space.
Okay, thank you, Professor Kumar. Is there any other question? Okay, there is a question from Professor Anurag. Are entropy and consciousness inversely proportional? If yes, how do you perceive Mahabharata into this. So
No, no.
the-
Mahabharata, the Lord Krishna is there, and then his job is only to reduce the entropy, disorderness. Okay, raise the level of consciousness. That's what he has done.
Yes, sir. I
So
have,
he has only reduced. Yeah.
yeah, I have a related question. So
Yeah.
don't you think the consciousness and entropy are in orthogonal spaces?
No. I don't think that they are orthogonal space. Consciousness, because disorderness increases when the consciousness reduces. Disorderness or entropy increases when consciousness reduces.
But I
So
mean,
you can see
we
the
can be-
terrorists.
we can be completely isolated the consciousness and entropy. We can completely isolate.
No, you see the terrorist. You see the terrorist. Their consciousness is very low. Okay, so they are increasing the disorderness. And you see the saintly people, their consciousness is very high. They are doing everything in a very nice way. So they are not in the orthogonal space. They
So
are very
even
much related.
Even in physical space, when we say, let's say sky, doesn't mix with any of the physical, the whatever we visibly see, all those physical entities are not mixing with sky. Because
Okay.
all these Panchabhutas are independent elements.
Okay.
So that means, I mean, when we go even deeper, everything what emerges will be independent of this. So the spaces that we are considering entropy is the physical space. But when we consider consciousness and we go beyond that, so that is orthogonal to this physical space.
I just don't know. Actually, the concept of entropy is further generalized. Initially, like classical thermodynamics gives the concept of entropy, and then Boltzmann give the concept of entropy in statistical thermodynamics. So when I am saying the entropy, I am taking more the concept of Boltzmann and is further extending it. So he has basically gave the concept for molecular dynamics or statistical thermodynamics concept of entropy. Now I'm further extending it to the level of consciousness. Okay, so the definition of classical thermodynamics entropy or definition of statistical thermodynamics entropy may not be applicable in this in our case. Okay, we have to extend that definition. We have to further generalize, like we have shown in the mathematical concept, that how we are generalizing the concept. So similarly, I'm trying to generalize the concept of entropy also. And when we generalize the concept of entropy, keeping the issue of disorderness at the center, then I find that this consciousness and entropy are inversely related. Means as the consciousness increases, the entropy reduces.
Okay, so I have another question. So when you consider the Hilbert space.
Okay, yeah.
So you showed the tensor related to Brahman. So
yeah,
in Hilbert space, we have complex numbers. We can have.
No, see, Hilbert space I just showed to show that how the Euclidean space is generalized. Using axioms, you are generalizing using axioms, you are generalizing the space and you are getting the higher dimensional space. So that was the purpose of showing Hilbert space. Now, when I am talking about the tensor, I am saying that tensor is invariant and Brahman is also invariant. Okay, so I'm just trying to correlate tensor with the Brahman. I'm relating the Hilbert space with the Brahman. Tensor, when the mathematicians developed the concept of tensor, they wanted some invariant quantity which can be projected in a different spaces. That was the idea, your tensor projected in a 3-dimensional space or 2-dimensional space, and then how is the invariant. That was the idea was that this quantity is invariant. So when we say that the Brahman is invariant in that sense, and I am saying that it is something like a tensor. So I'm taking the concept of invariance of tensor and equating that invariance with the Brahman. and not with the Hilbert space. Hilbert space is just like n dimension, because here when you say the Hilbert space is basically talks about the numbers, but when we are talking about the Brahman, it has many properties like laws, physical laws, matter, living being, soul is concept is there. So Brahman has many other dimensions which the number cannot express. For example, laws and matter and all, the number cannot express that. So Brahman's dimensions are very much higher in that sense, not in the sense of number, adding the numbers, but in something which is beyond the mathematics, you can say, like I'm saying the scientific laws, matter. So Brahman is including that dimensions in a higher dimension. And we do not know how many high levels are there, because we are the living beings, and above our living being, all other things are like Brahman. Above us, we do not know what is there above us.
Okay. And I mean, when we don't understand something, let's say, for example, we take absorption. So there we have complex quantities.
Okay.
Complex numbers. So the real part, we say that's the physical observable quantity. And the imaginary part, whatever we don't understand, we put everything in the imaginary part.
Yeah.
In this case, I mean, in your definition, I mean, whatever tensor you gave, so those numbers or elements are complex numbers, or because they should also contain something what we don't know.
Actually, I means I do not like to express, because there is a relation between the imaginary and the real also, you can say that. But here, when you go for higher dimension, actually you find that these things are totally independent, like orthogonal kind of things. Okay, when you say that real number and imaginary number, but there's some relation is there. But when you go for totally orthogonal spaces, then you find that they are totally independent. And so what I feel that they are totally independent. The higher dimensions, one dimension is totally independent, orthogonal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Kumar. Is there any other question? Okay, if there is no other question, let's thank Professor Kumar again for his very nice talk. And, yeah, I think this session is now closed.
So I would like to call upon our chairperson, Dr. Balram Sahuji, onto the stage. And I would request Professor Haridas to come and felicitate our chairperson, Balram Sahuji. Thank you, sirs. Thank you. So we move on to the next program. I have some announcements to be made. We have the Bhaktivedanta Institute publications, Bhaktivedanta Institute, which is organizing the summer school. We have our own publications, journals for scientists, and journals for students, academicians, and thinkers. So all those books are on display to my left side. So you all can go through that one, and you can subscribe for those journals. We have Tattva Jignasa and we have Savigyanam, both are journals for which you can subscribe. So please do visit the stall, book stall, and the person there will help you to subscribe for those books. And the thoughts of Dr. T.D. Singh, who is the founder director of this institute, are brought out. His own thoughts and the thoughts of the greatest scientists, Nobel laureates, and great thinkers have been brought out in the form of books. And if you're all really interested in this theme of the topic for the summer school, and any topic that relates to science and spirituality synthesis, those details are available in the form of books. So you can just have a look and subscribe for those books. Now we move on to the next item, that is prize distribution for the poster presentation. So a lot of young minds have taken part in our poster presentation, and our honorable judges have evaluated them and given their conclusion, and the results were already announced yesterday. Since some of them are leaving today early, so we thought we'll distribute the prizes now. So the third prize goes to Srimoyi Parin and Debolina Nag. So may I request Srimoyi Parin and Debolina Nag to come onto the stage, and I request Dr. Balaram Sahu. Sir, you can. You can just remove this. It will be nice. So Dr. Balaram Sahu is from IISc Bangalore. So you all should be happy to receive the certificates and the gift money of rupees 2,000 for the third prize winner. Give them again a big round of applause, please. Next, the second prize is shared by Dr. Chaitanya P. and Dr. Nandin Patel. May I request Dr. Chaitanya and Dr. Nandini Patel onto the stage, please. Okay, both the participants are doctors or from the Ayurvedic College. So you all can go and have a look at the poster presentation, that is poster number 6 and poster number 5. So that is presented by both of them. So congratulations. I would request Sri Vasudeva Rao to come and felicitate the winners, second prize winners. Let's all give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. Now we move on to the first prize winner. And who's the first prize winner? He is combing his hair to come onto the stage now. Yes, Niket Jha. Niket Jha has been a serious participant of all our conferences and seminars recently, and he actively participates. He catches the points and puts the right questions, and sometimes puts the speakers into uncomfortable position also. So he gets the first prize. And to felicitate our Niket Jha, I would request Professor Debashish Khan, IIT BHU, to come onto the stage, please. So the second prize money was rupees 3,000, and the first prize money is rupees 5,000 with a certificate and a memento. Thank you very much. Thank you, sirs. So after this, we have a session on Young Minds Speak, followed by another session. And at last, we'll have a panel session. And for this panel session, unlike any panel discussion, the speakers will not be speaking. You all can write your questions. From the day one, whatever questions you have, from all the sessions, you can write down the questions and hand it over to us, and we will ask the concerned speaker to answer those questions. So please, this will also summarize our understanding of the whole summer school. So please do participate. Write down your questions. It could be regarding any topic in all the sessions so far completed, and we'll have those answers from the speakers. Okay. So that's it. Now we'll break for lunch, 45 minutes, and we'll reassemble again here by 2:15. Oh, sorry, 1:15. I'm sorry. 12:45, right? This is it's 12:30 right now. Sorry, that's 12:30 right now. So 1:15 or latest by 1:30. Yeah. Lunch break. Yeah. Okay. There is another announcement. Your participation certificates will be distributed at the end of the program. So please do collect your participation certificates. It will be distributed at the backstage. The backside. So please collect your participation certificates. Thank you. One thirty. We'll come here at 1:30. An announcement, please. The lunch is almost ready. So it will take 10 more minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, then you can proceed. So as announced, you can write down your questions and hand it over to me. Hope like we all will be in a better position to listen to the following sessions. The afternoon session will start with the Young Minds Speak.
Hello.
And our speaker for that today's session, Young Minds Speak, is Mr. Rutvik Galem, second year MTech. Rutvik Galem is a second year MTech student pursuing his integrated dual degree of BTech in civil engineering and MTech in environmental engineering at IIT Bhubaneswar. His research interests include environmental engineering and air pollution assessment.
Check.
Along with his academics, he is good at sports with national level participation in table tennis.
Check.
In addition, he has keen interest in the field of consciousness from both scientific and Vedantic paradigms. So I would invite Rutvik, over to you. Let's give him a big hand. Let's give him a big round of applause so that others can wake up also. It's an afternoon session. So difficult. So Rutvik's job is to keep every one of us awake.
Yes, sir, sure.
Consciously. Speaking on mystery of consciousness.
Can I start? Can I start? Yeah, they come. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm Rutvik, and today I'm going to present on the topic mystery of consciousness. So, this topic is very questionable. Like, we can ask so many questions on this topic. So, please be ready with the questions. Then, at the end. So, next slide, please. So I would like to dedicate my presentation to Shri Varun Agarwalji for always guiding me and also giving inspiration to present on this topic. Next slide, please. So these are the presentation contents. So first I will be explaining about the development of modern science, and then I will be giving some examples related to consciousness, like candle versus man, and physics and free will, and who is a real observer, why fundamental limitations are coming, and finally the Vedantic views. Next slide, please. So in the beginning of the modern science, like around 400 years back, Newtonian mechanics started. So at that time, we would like to model the things. So everything was fitting well. So let us assume on a rough surface, we have kept a block and putting a force F. So we will have some movement according to the force applied, or there may not be any movement also. We could able to clearly calculate and estimate what is going to happen. Same with that, like if we apply some force F on a ball, so it will rebound with some force and will come back with some velocity. We could also able to model it and calculate it, what is going to happen. And even with the rotational mechanics also, which is very complicated, but still we could able to find many complicated issues or complicated calculations also we could able to do using the Newtonian mechanics.
Sorry.
So,
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Can you maintain silence, please? Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So this mechanics and everything went very deep. Like it also useful in the aeronautical engineering, it also useful in the very complex calculations also. So everywhere it is going well, and we could able to model many different kinds of things. So this is one very good thing. So then we go next slide, please. Then after going deeply, so physicists start inquiring about these things. So they went little bit deep. Can we able to model a person? Like, is it possible? So they took like a candle and a man. So what happens is candle takes oxygen and emits the carbon dioxide. Same with the human being. So it also like take oxygen and gives out the carbon dioxide. So are they both same? Because both are doing the same thing, or is there some difference? So what could be the difference, or what is the possible differences which are in between them? Like, are we just a combustion engine, or are we something more than the combustion engine? So this they start questioning. So which is a famous question by Richard Feynman. So he's a Nobel laureate in physics. So he started questioning like this. So are we same, or are we something different, or something more than that? So this question started. And next slide, please. So same with that, this concept. So let us assume we took a ball, a spherical ball, very small spherical ball, and we drop it in a water body at time t equal to 0 seconds. Then we will release it. So it will go down slowly. It will increase its velocity, and it will reach to a terminal velocity, and it will go with the same velocity till down. So we could able to put the laws, like what law we can put? We can put the Stokes law. Stokes law is applicable here. So we can properly use the Stokes law, and we could able to find the drag force. So what is the drag force applied on that? So finally estimating through that, we will get the velocity, terminal velocity, and then it will go to constantly. So let us assume at time t equal to 10 seconds, we can able to predict few things. Like what we can predict? Its speed. We can predict its speed. If we could able to, if it is in the accelerating mode, so it will be in somewhere there. Or if it have reached the terminal velocity, it has some velocity. So it reached, we can able to find out what is its speed. And we can able to predict what is its location also. Like by knowing this, its speed and the time taken, so we can find what is its location also. And moreover, the direction of motion also. What is the direction? It just goes down. So there is no other option for that. So we could able to predict all these things well, quite and good. But then comes the issue. Next slide, please. So if we put a fish in a water body, so what is the possibility? What we can predict? Can someone predict few things related to its speed or its location or its direction of motion? Like, is it possible practically? Actually, no, it's actually not possible, right? So it's very complicated because it depends on its free will. Like whatever it wants, it like to do. It want to go there. If it is hungry, it will search for food. So wherever it finds the food, it will go there. If it want to fight with its friends, then it will find its friends and it will fight with that. And if it is feeling sleepy, then it will stop there and will not move nowhere. So it will be there itself. So the dynamics of fish is quite uncertain. Like it is very, very complicated to predict. So this is the one of the deep questions which we could able to think of. So the next slide, please. So if we compare these two things, the spherical ball and the fish, so what we can infer or what we can tell, like there is something inside the fish which is beyond the laws of physics. Like we can use our whatever equations we have, Schrodinger equation we call, Newtonian mechanics, or put whatever equation we put, it is actually impossible to predict the dynamics of the fish. We can predict. So there is something inside the fish which is beyond the laws of physics. It is not inside that. It is just going outside that. So what it could be? And because the fish possesses a free will, because of this thing is it has some free will. It has a potential to decide, like actually, which is called a property of consciousness is physics. And at last, at the end of the movie, the conclusion is the dynamics of fish is unpredictable. So it's still a mystery in the physics. So next slide, please. So our Heisenberg says this. So any science that deals with living organisms must needs cover the phenomenon of consciousness, because consciousness too is a part of reality. So he's telling that we cannot neglect the consciousness. It is there. It is unavoidable. So this, he is pointing it out. So we cannot avoid consciousness. It is there, but it is going beyond our laws. Next slide, please. And our Wigner is saying, he's a Nobel laureate in physics. So he's telling the laws of quantum mechanics itself cannot be formulated without resource to the concept of consciousness. So he was telling to calculate some quantum mechanical equations, the consciousness is a must. Consciousness is 100% required there. So without that, we cannot formulate the things. So it is very, very essential in the quantum mechanics. So next slide, please. So then finally the question comes, so what is a consciousness? So we are trying to explore it now. So finally, what is a consciousness? When we look at the mirror in the morning, we can see, yes, I'm looking at myself. So, but the question comes, who is looking at whom? Who is actually the real observer? So who is actually observing? Then the question remains, who is that one? That is actually still a question. So that because of that, there is no still a general definition for consciousness. Still, even the modern science could not able to define like what is it. But there are some school of thoughts which try to approach the consciousness, like neuroscience. Neuroscience tries to explain through the neuronal activity in the brain, and quantum mechanics tries to explain through the collapse of the wave function, and the artificial intelligence, cognitive science, psychology, philosophy, all these different school of thoughts tries to explain the consciousness, but many are having the many different perspectives. Some says the consciousness is as wakefulness, and some says the consciousness as awareness, some says the consciousness as like it is a living property or a soul. So there are many school of thoughts on the consciousness, but there is no complete picture in our modern science about the consciousness. Next slide, please. And there are many big scientists also working on it, because they said, right, it is unavoidable. It is there in our picture. So many big scientists try to understand the consciousness, starting with our Descartes and Schrödinger, Helmholtz and Leibniz. So they are very deeply trying to understand the consciousness, because it is there in the picture. It is not going away. So they want to understand that. Next slide, please. So okay, we could able to understand like some humans are having conscious, but what about the animals? So there is a test called mirror test, mirror self-recognition test. So we will put a big mirror and we will check that whether the animal could able to estimate that I am that animal. Like I will just stand, if some animal is there, it could able to recognize itself in front of mirror or not. They will put some symbols on it and they will check that whether they could able to check it that with the symbol they could able to identify or not. So many animals could able to pass on this test, like elephant passed in this test, and the dolphins are also passed in this test. So they could able to recognize that, yes, I am this. So through the mirror test, what we can predict is like self-awareness. So mirror tells that it is aware about itself, aware about its surroundings. So this is the inference we can give from the mirror test. But again the question comes, is awareness the only function of consciousness? So if we are aware, are we conscious? So this again question comes, because if we take a small baby, it is not aware of the surroundings. It is having almost very less awareness about its surroundings, but still it is he is conscious. So is the awareness the only property? Then we need to deeply find it out more. So what are the laws that indicate that we have consciousness is a very deeper thing to know. So next slide, please. And what about the microorganisms? They are very, very small and they don't have brain. So the question is like where the consciousness lies, because bacteria, if we take the bacteria, it is also conscious because it is aware about surroundings. If it required some food, then it could able to sense the food, and if it would able to defend something, it will defend and it will sense that, because it is aware about its surroundings, but it don't have any brain. Like we have the brain, but the question is where this consciousness presents. Is it inside the brain, or is it inside the heart, or where it is? So that is again a question again in the science law. So where the consciousness lies. So bacteria don't have a brain, but they are conscious. So where the consciousness lies. Next slide, please. So here our Niels Bohr, he's telling that we can admittedly find nothing in physics or chemistry that has even a remote bearing on consciousness. Yet all of us know that there is such a thing as consciousness, simply because we have it ourselves. Hence, consciousness must be the part of nature, or more generally of reality, which means that quite apart from the laws of physics and chemistry as laid down in the quantum theory, we must also consider the laws of a quite a different nature. So you can see that highlighted parts. He's telling that it has a quite different properties from the laws of physics and chemistry. The properties of consciousness are something deeper or something beyond the laws of physics and chemistry. And he's telling that this should be considered, it has a very quite a different nature of the consciousness, have very quite different properties and all those things. Next slide, please. So let's understand one more thing here. So who is actually the observer? So all these questions will merge in one point. So in next two slides, I will going to explain why all these questions are coming. So this is also one more question, like who is actually the observer? So let us assume, let's take something. So I will take this bottle. So if I look at this bottle, so I can see that, yes, using my eyes, I can see this bottle. So the object, instrument of observation, and the observer. So there are three things here. So this is the object, and my eyes are the instrument of observation, and there is observer. And if we see the if we see this bottle with the microscope, here the microscope is the instrument of observation, and this itself is the object, and there is something inside the observer. And if we just remove the microscope outside, and if we see, eyes are the instrument of observer, and the observer remains question, like who is actually observing the things, because eyes are the instrument for the observation. Eyes are not the like who are observing. There is someone who is behind, or someone who is back, who is actually observing. So what it is, so it is going question beyond this, because Newman asked this question in that. So next slide, please. So can you take that outside from the top? So, yeah. So in the development of modern science, we found many new applications. So we can see in this hall only, we have nice PPT. We could able to do in hybrid mode, so both online and offline. So this is a very good advantages we got in the modern science. We have the electricity, we are very comfortable. So we got an AC, and we got the mic, everyone can listen. So all these new applications are coming in the development of modern science, and many different technologies are coming. Some laptops, mobiles, everything. So many different kinds of technologies. Every day it's are updating. And along with that, some other elements are also coming, which are called paradoxes. So it's a self-questionable statement. So all the paradoxes are also coming, and these paradoxes are questioning the foundations, like which we are defining. So yesterday our brother Nikhil was questioning, right? So what is mass? So we could not able to like still completely define it. So these paradoxes are questioning the foundations, our foundational things which we have. So all these foundational questions are coming, and which are inferring to something which are deeper than that, which is the spiritual aspects, which is going beyond the laws of mathematics, physics, and chemistry. So now let's go in further deep. Next slide, please. So he's our Francis Crick. He from the helical structure of the DNA molecule. So he's telling, now it is time to think scientifically about consciousness and its relationship, if any, to the hypothetical immoral soul. And most important of all, the time to start the experimental study of consciousness in a serious, deliberate way. So he is telling that to find out and to know about these deeper things, because we cannot avoid, they are coming in. So we want to study them and this is very, very important. He's telling that. So next slide, please. So let me get into the Vedantic perspectives. So all the questions which we could not able to answer, or what is the thing which is going beyond the laws of physics, chemistry, is actually given in the very first, like in the very beginning chapters of the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Sri Krishna. So he's defined, like I put it in an equation so that you can easily understand. So life equals to a genome, like you can make a physical aspect. So the matter which is having the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen molecules which are made up of. So these are all considered under the genome. And next aspect are like psychological aspect. Psychological aspect is we have that, but we cannot touch them, or we cannot infer them. So they're like mind, not the brain, it's the mind, intelligence and false ego. They are within us, but they are very subtle. So the psychological aspect. And there is one more deeper thing which we are trying to find, and which is going in the beyond the laws of physics and chemistry, is that the soul, which all the questions which we could not able to answer. This is the soul, which is the main thing, or the main issue, which is the beyond that. So then we will find it about the soul in the next coming slides. Next slide, please. So this soul has the property of consciousness. So this is the main thing which we want to know. Like you can understand electron. Electron has a property of charge. So negative charge. Negative charge is the property, and electron itself is a particle. So if you can consider the soul as a particle, soul has the consciousness. And similarly, like electron has the mass, electron has some area to occupy. Similarly, like soul also has some other properties also. Free will. It has a free will. It has a own capacity to decide what it wants, and it has a purpose. Why we are doing all these things? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of my life? So there are many deeper things. So it questions about the soul. What is the purpose? And one greater quality, the humility, is not imposing conception on others. And so it is very higher qualities which are of not this body, which are of very deeper things, which is about the soul. And other properties also, like it has love, compassion, relationship, happiness, desire, gratitude, forgiveness, intent. So these are not of these bodily properties. These are very deeper properties. So then next slide, please. So then now I would like to conclude with a quote by Charles Stone. So he's telling that I look at science and religion as both working on the same problem. So he's telling that they are working on the same problem. So namely the understanding of what our universe and our life are all about. So they are trying to find all these new things, and both are trying to find the same thing. I hope that each approach will be successful and they will meet and join in a close-kin way. So Charles Stone, he's a Nobel laureate in physics. He's calling for the synthesis. So if both are together, the science and the spirituality, then the clear picture of the nature, or the clear understanding about the deeper aspects of the life can be easily understood. So this is what he's telling. So next slide, please. So this is the publication of Bhaktivedanta Institute. So, and this is I took most of the contents from this book. I recommend everyone, if you get time, you can take this book and you can go through it. So next slide, please. So thank you so much for patiently listening to me, and I thank Bhaktivedanta Institute for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ritvik. I would, now it's time to take some questions, either offline or online, among the audience.
Sir, I'm very small, sir, please.
No. I really, the first time I saw somebody putting a question before me, telling that this is consciousness.
Okay.
I feel, really, you must have gone through this book much more deeply than any of us. Mm-hmm. That's why you could put this one. But now, in one of your slides, when you were talking about the different properties, mm-hmm. you put all the good qualities. Mm-hmm. So why did you eliminate the negative ones? Just the slide before,
Okay, can you put the slide, please?
two before, two
Back.
slides back.
Back.
Go back, 2 slides. Go back, yes.
Yes, the properties of soul. Yes.
You see, all are positive ones.
Yes.
That does it mean that soul does not have any negative? Like you have written love. What about hate? Does soul hate? Does soul? I mean, instead of compassion, you can say
Okay.
opposite
So all
of
the
compassion.
reverse.
All the reverse.
Okay.
Does
Okay.
soul have that?
Okay.
That's right.
So yes, sir, that was a wonderful question. So let me try to present what I understood. So the thing is, soul has all these good qualities, but because it is in this body, which is made up of matter, because of that, this all the reverse qualities are developed. Because of this body and because of the interaction with this, we say in the scriptures it is a material nature. Because of the interaction with the material nature, all these qualities are coming up. Or else, in general, every soul is very, very like it's pure. All the souls are very pure, but the thing is they are covered with some material, what we say, the material contamination, what we say. Because of that, it is all these bad qualities, what we are trying to think, these are coming up. Or else the soul is pure and it has only the good qualities only, like what we say. It don't have. Because of this interaction with the material nature, which has all the qualities, like there are some qualities described: anger, lust, and greed. These come out from the interaction with the matter, interaction with, like, I think.
I'm especially asking this because little while ago I was talking to Barunji, Swami Barunji, and talking about a person who is having all of this negative. Doesn't he have a soul?
No, sir. All these reverse things don't, like, soul has only the positive and the good qualities. True, I mean, in general, a soul has only these pure qualities. Because of the interaction with the matter or interaction with this material thing, these qualities are coming out, all this negative or what we are thinking. But in general, a soul, everyone, like whoever it is, whatever the living entity or we say is, whatever it is, its soul is very, very pure. Satchitanand Vigraha, we say. So it is very, very pure. Constitutionally, it's very, very pure, like God. But because it is covered with its material nature, so that's why all these qualities are coming up. I hope I could able to tell some points. I know.
Sir, there is an extension on the same topic by Dr. Hemanta Mishra.
Yes.
I'll hand over the mic to him.
Ritik, nice presentation.
Thank you.
Is it, sir, what was the question of, sir, that is it due to the direction of the free will? If the free will is in the wrong direction, all the negatives of the other qualities come.
Okay.
You see, happiness, if the direction of the free will is different, then that happiness becomes sorrow.
Okay.
So then the negative quality comes.
Mm.
Then if the intent for something,
Okay.
if your free will is in the wrong direction, the intent or
Okay.
forgiveness, gratitude, everything goes in the wrong direction.
Yes.
Can we interpret in that way?
Yes, yes. This point, using this point, we can explain very nicely, sir. We are given with a free will, like we are not robots. We are given a minute free will. It is a very minute all, that is also minute. Because of this, we are trying to find happiness, or we are trying to find good things in the way which we want. But in general, we will get happiness or the completeness through the spiritual process. And it is told and explained by the God. So we will get the true happiness in that. But because of the free will which is given to us, because of, we can say, the misuse of the free will, which actually the free will is used to serve the God in general, but the free will is used to serve our own things. So because of that, we are indebted to things which are opposite to these things. I hope I could able to put some points.
Yeah, so Mr. Ritwik, we have a couple of more questions before winding up.
Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon. My question is regarding this consciousness, that how we are quantifying consciousness of a being, of a living being. Like, is it only the purpose with which we are quantifying the consciousness? Like, human beings have a higher purpose. We say that they want to understand more about nature and the higher realities they want to understand. So we quantify it in higher consciousness. Likewise, we see ants, they are struggling for survival, so we are putting in lower. Likewise, plants in middle. So is it the purpose only with which we are quantifying the consciousness, or there are any other attributes also?
So you want to put the levels?
No, I want to understand, like, on what basis we are classifying the consciousness of a living being.
Lower or higher, you mean, like
yes,
that?
Yes.
So on what basis?
Yes, on what properties? Is it only purpose or something else also? Yes.
Yes. Along with the purpose, there are some more deeper things on which the consciousness is defined. So I will tell the few things. So in general, it is said that the trees are having very less consciousness, and above that, animals have like little more consciousness than them. Above that, humans have more consciousness, and above the humans, who are like we can consider, who are trying to question about the life. So they are considered they are in the fourth level, who are trying to question. Like, now we are gathered here to find out the very deeper questions, like who are trying to question about the things. Then they will come to the third level to the fourth level. So, or else they will be staying in the third level only. And then when a person get able to understand completely, and they got the complete realization, then they will get into the fifth level. It is called completely bloom consciousness. He has the full consciousness. So these all are defined by mostly what you say, the one most important thing is the purpose, like what we want to do. Because by understanding these third level and fourth level persons, it differs only with what they are trying to do. Like, their fourth level people are trying to question about the life. So they are defining their purpose, and they are trying to dig out the deeper things in their life. So they are shifting to higher level. And who are in the third level, like who are in general, people in general, like who are like just who are normal people we have. So they are generally in the third level. So who are trying to define, or who are trying to think. And other than purpose, few more things are like the questioning, or the method of questioning. So whoever tries to question the things, this is in the very beginning, it's a jigyasa, atato brahma jigyasa, the very big, very starting of the Vedanta Sutra. So whoever has this jignasa, it starts from boosting up from third to fourth level. And these atato brahma jigyasa could not be possible in the lower animals, because they are engaged in their activities, like generally for the food, searching of the food, the sleeping, and all these things. So I hope I answered.
Mr. Ritwik, we have 2 more minutes. So
Yeah,
I'll take a quick question, and I request you to give a very quick reply to it.
Hi Ritwik.
Yes.
That was really a nice presentation. That was simple.
Yes.
So continue to sir's question. You just give the answer that Sachidananda. You said that property of soul is pure.
Yeah.
You characterized all the positive terms in the soul.
Yes.
So, and along with that, you told that Sachidananda is also pure, but he was in a materialistic form, like we all are in human. He was also in human. So how can you say?
Who is in the human?
Sachidananda.
Actually,
Sri Chaitanya. Sorry, Sri Chaitanya.
Sachit Ananda are like it's
Sorry,
not a
Sri Chaitanya.
Sri Chaitanya.
Sri Chaitanya.
Who?
Sri Chaitanya जिनको हम पूजा करते हैं.
Sure. Okay.
Chaitanya
Sri
Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
say? Acha. Okay. So
how can be he so pure? Means not questioning about his thought, but you just told that.
What is the difference you want to find? So what is the difference in normal human and the person?
No. You tell that Sri Chaitanya is also pure. And you, along with that, you tell that all the negative qualities which we got from this materialistic things.
Okay.
Then I want to know how he was so pure.
How he was?
So pure.
So pure.
He was in
Okay.
materialistic world.
Because he was completely engaged in these thoughts, which you are telling na, in the very beginning thoughts. Yeah. So he reached the 5th level. So what I was telling, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I was telling. So they reached the 5th level. So when they reach the 5th level, so whatever they do, whatever they utilize, whatever they do, so everything become pure, everything become completely pure. So whatever they eat, whatever the activities they do, they're completely pure because they reach that level, and whatever they are doing, it is for actually to serve a higher, greater purpose. So they are completely situated in that. So that way they are completely Satchitanand, means completely happy Satchitanand. So they are complete. But we, in general, normal people, are not completely in the serving in the higher purpose. There is some higher purpose or higher mission. So we are not completely in that. So that's why we are like this. But hope the time and day will come.
There is an extension comment by Sri K. Vasudev Rao on the same topic.
Yes, sir.
Very excellent question. Sir has put. I would like to add a little bit. Generally, this is not the format. Try to answer this question.
No problem. Yes, sir. You're most welcome.
Sir, really excellent question. Can you please go back to the slide? The consciousness, free will, that slide.
Yes.
So, he has put many qualities, sir. This consciousness, free will. Actually, if you see, all other aspects, they're actually a content of consciousness or a state of consciousness, actually. You see, free will, it is a conscious, related to consciousness. It is a conscious state to will something. Similarly, love, it is also a conscious state. All the other things which are mentioned actually part of the consciousness. So therefore, whether a soul is there or not, how to distinguish is whether particular thing is conscious or not. That is how we understand. That's how in the Vedic tradition, animals also have soul. Now coming to the negative qualities. Among these qualities, happiness is very, very important aspect of consciousness, because it is very, very fundamental. It is more fundamental than the free will. Within the conscious states, happiness is more fundamental. If I am very happy, sometimes I give up my free will to somebody whom I love. If I am very happy with somebody, I will just say yes to everybody. For example, a loving father is a very strict police officer, very strict. But when he goes home and he sees his son or daughter, he says everything okay. No. He surrenders his free will. So, in the Satchidananda Vigraha, Sat is eternity related to the existence. Chit is conscious or awareness. Ananda, Vigraha. Ananda will come. Vigraha is as a form. Form is also there. But Ananda is specially highlighted apart from the consciousness because of its very, very fundamental in nature. So, we cannot take away earning to be happy from any conscious being. It is very, very fundamental. It is like a ground state of the consciousness or soul. Every conscious being wants to be happy because that is a ground state, because we are scientists to understand just using the scientific term. Happiness is the ground state. So therefore, when the conception of the soul gets contaminated, it's tried to derive happiness through negative qualities, opposite qualities. So that's why we say happiness is most fundamental. If you don't get happiness in love, somebody fell in love, he may turn into some terrorist. Somebody did not get some good relationship, may turn into something else. But whether it is positive quality or negative quality, earning for happiness is the fundamental thing. So happiness, so therefore spirituality is trying to give a taste of happiness in the positive things, to give a like a advertisement or to give a taste, that In order to be happy, we don't need to recourse to the negative things. Positive things actually can give more happiness and lasting happiness and collective happiness. Not only I am happy, others are happy. Together we will be more happy. So this is the spirituality, that happiness, we don't need to go to the negative qualities to be happy. We can be more happy with the positive qualities. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. Both of them, Putin and Zelensky, the Russia and Ukraine war going on. Every being, even an ant is trying to be happy. He has shown a bacteria. Even the bacteria is trying to be happy by collecting food or trying to survive. Happiness is very, very fundamental to the living beings' consciousness. Among the consciousness states, happiness is very fundamental, and that is driving other qualities. So therefore, it is very important to introduce happiness on positive things. That is all the spirituality is about. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sorry, sir. Vigraha is form. Form means soul has a form. We will talk about, I have a talk later on, we will have some. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I would request the audience to join hands to give this discussion a big round of applause. We had numerous viewpoints, right from the speaker to learned scholars over here. So without wasting much time, I would request Professor N.D. Haridas to come on to stage and present the speaker with a small token of appreciation. Professor Haridas, please. Yes. Thank you, Professor Haridas. Thank you, Mr.